Well, welcome. It's Miss NYASIA. I'm gonna call you NYASIA. That's your
That's it.
persona. Welcome. Welcome to
Hi.
the Keys Freestyle 3, the 80s and 90s
Yes.
jam.
I'm so excited, man. You don't know.
We're all excited. We're all very excited, and I'm excited to see you out there like you were back when this freestyle was in the heyday. What happened?
With
What
freestyle or
brought
with
you?
me?
What brought you back so strong? No, with you.
Well,
No, what brought you back so strong?
I actually I never left. Um, I wasn't getting booked at that time. You know,
Hmm.
I guess things were dying down and I don't know, for some reason it just wasn't happening for me at that time. But I never left the industry.
Hmm.
It's just I wasn't getting booked at the time. But when I met my good friend, my best friend Sapphire, she started getting me back into it. And then my husband, DJ Paradise, when I got with him, he was like, "There's no way, you're not gonna go back out there and do your stuff. I mean, people haven't heard from you in a while."
Right.
So those two are actually the ones that like pushed me back into the scene.
Looking at on videos and social media, when you're in Brazil, it seems like you are the scene.
Wow. Yeah, Brazil's on another level.
Yeah,
Um, I can't say
like they have
enough.
dances to Asia.
Well, the good thing is that, they dance, they have that dance and they dance it for everything. But the first video I ever saw was them dancing for me, and that video's got like over 1 million views to it. Um, I always say it's so humbling. That experience with Brazil was so humbling that it stood with me over the years until I went back.
Right. So Brazil was your first encounter was when?
1991.
91. And when did you start your music career with period? I don't know what you started freestyle or with ballads. What did you start?
I started in 1989. I started out dancing for Willie Valentine, and he, you know, I was doing a show for him at the Jacob Javits Center, and we were approached to see if I sang or anything like that. So he was like, "Oh, we'll get a song for her," and then they wrote "Now and Forever."
That's great. And
That's
that's
how
where it
I got
started.
started.
Wow. So you guys have a deep connection.
Yes, yes.
My first remix was for
Yep.
one of your songs that you did with him, and I was very humbled and proud to be part of it. This was after you did your big releases came out, and
Uh-huh.
True Love,
True love.
True
Yes.
Love, yes.
True love.
True
Yes.
Love, yes. So Now Forever came out. Was it an instant hit?
When when I was first approached with the Micmac contract, I was I said, all right, I'll sign it as a lark. I definitely didn't think it was gonna go anywhere. So I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Because
Hmm.
Willie was like, you have to sign it as Micmac. Cynthia's on there, Johnny O's on there. So I went ahead and signed it. I didn't read the contract. I knew nothing of the music industry. I had no background except for singing in the shower and in church. That was it. And then when they came to me and they said, "Oh, we're gonna re-record Now Forever," we're gonna go to a real studio and record the song. I was like, "Yeah, all right, I'll record it. It's not gonna go anywhere." When I first heard it on the radio, I almost crashed my car on the FDR because I couldn't believe it was me. And I had to, back then we didn't have cell phones. I had to look for a payphone and call my mom and be like, "Put it on the radio. The song's on there." So, yeah, it was pretty much that was in 1990, and then like 6 months later, I ended up going to Brazil.
Wow.
Yeah,
That, that
and
that's a
apparently
that's
it
really a
was
whirlwind.
yeah, it was, and it just didn't stop after that. It
Hmm.
was number one in Brazil for a few weeks, um, and it went big in Miami, and it just, it took off. I was blessed that that song took off from the get-go.
It sure did. And I remember like yesterday when it came out, I went to Vinyl Mania like everybody else and gave me the record. I had to come to the
Yes,
city from Long Island. All the good stuff was in the city. And
yes.
it was a smash off the bat. And congratulations on that. And
Thank
congratulations
you.
on being back
Thank
and
you.
doing so many shows and being so welcome.
Yes.
And I'm happy for you and others like you that are still are even paving the way for newer artists. And
Hmm.
it's nice to see that. It's nice to see the commingling now. And what I do want to touch up on, I want to ask you the question as well. Back in the day, artists as yourself, it was a different vibe. Like you guys were
Yes.
untouchable. Like there was nobody in the VIP. There was no
Hmm.
like. Now, do you chalk that up to social media, like of people being more closer because it's really a
Definitely.
one-on-one through a screen, or is it that the fan base is a lot less and it's easier to interact with?
I think the fan base has gotten bigger. In my opinion, it's gotten
Mm-hmm.
bigger. I go and I see families like mom and dads, they come and they bring their teenagers
Oh,
who they brought up listening to the genre. So um, I think the fan base has gotten bigger, but social media has helped it along as where, it's easier for them to be in contact with their artists, with their favorite artists, if you will. Back then, yeah, it was very strict. VIP was for the artist and
yeah,
that's it.
right.
And sometimes I think sometimes it gets a little out of hand because it's like you go to VIP and there's more people in there that are not performing than the artists themselves. So
Yes.
some of the artists just they either like to stay in the hotel until it's time for them to go, or they just stay outside in the limo or in the wherever they got picked up in, because sometimes it gets too overwhelming in the
Yeah.
VIP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I stand corrected. You're saying it's bigger, and I believe me. I'm going to take your word for it. It's just
Oh yeah.
on my perspective, I just remember being young, and every club we went to was shoulder to shoulder when artists as yourself would perform.
Yeah, that's true. And now, because back then, it was all the rage.
It was
Freestyle was
mainstream. It was
it was
mainstream.
mainstream. It was being played on KTU, Z100, being played on in New York, and in other stations being played on main radio stations on FM.
Yeah.
So it was huge. And now the venues have gotten smaller. You may have like Radio City Music Hall, or some of the arenas in New York or here in Orlando. But for the most part, the venues are smaller. Now you got like the bar and grills that are doing the little shows here and
Yeah.
there. And there's some changes from back in the day to now, because now it's just so saturated. Everywhere you go, there's another show popping up,
Yeah. Which is good for you guys, for the artists.
definitely. And it's good
Grab
for
the
the
bag.
people that can't get enough of freestyle.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely.
And we're going to segue from that into your new music. What's coming? What do you got? What's the name of your new music? What? Tell us about it.
There is so much more coming.
Mm-hmm.
So the last three singles, Time, Walk Away, and the latest one, When Will Our Hearts Be Together. I recorded two songs with Kenny Diaz and Sapphire for the Londinium label. That's going to be coming out in a couple of months, probably by January of next year. And I'm working on something else on 418, which hopefully will be out in October and re-recorded Now and Forever.
Good. That's great. And hopefully it's available or teaser when we bring you to the Florida Keys, Key West.
Yes, there should be, yeah. At
So,
least two of them.
and you're still rocking. I love it.
Thank you.
And we're bringing you to the Keys. Louis the Mayor is bringing you to the Keys to do Freestyle 3 with Company B,
Yep.
with Mia,
And
and
yeah.
cover band Wannabe. They're pretty big in South Florida, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel about going to Key West to perform?
I performed in Key West one time at Bottle Caps, I believe it was, years ago. And we always wanted to return.
Yeah.
But, life gets in the way. You're doing a whole bunch of things and we never get away. So when Louis hit me up about Key West. I was like, without a doubt, I'm going.
Yeah, that's
I was
great.
very, I was very excited about doing it because I love it over there.
You know, you are a piece of history,
Hmm.
and you're an icon. You, and I'm sure you understand that.
I do. It took me a long time, believe it or not, to accept that. And the only reason I did end up accepting it was because there was a point in time where it seemed as if things are trying to be rewritten. The history of freestyle was
Hmm.
trying to be rewritten. You saw a lot of documentaries, but it was the same people doing the documentaries. And I always said, there are other people that make up the history of freestyle. Yes, you have your pioneers, but you have the ones also that came right after and the ones that are going to continue it. So if you're gonna write or do a documentary about the history of freestyle, yes, do it from the beginning, but also, do it, straight into the future. And my husband used to always tell me, why don't you, he goes, you are a part of history. And I was always telling him, yeah, I know I'm a part of history. Uh, but others may not know, you
Hmm.
know? So I had to, it came, I don't know, maybe 25 years. It took me like 25 years in order to realize, yeah, you are an icon. You are part of the history of this music. You are part of the memories that people your age, when they come to your show, they're like, oh my God, I remember where I was. I remember the guy I used to go out with, or the girl I used to
Yeah,
go out with.
yeah,
I remember I was pregnant at this time. Oh, and I named my daughter after you. You don't know how many NYASIAs I've met. It's the most wonderful thing in the world. It's a humbling experience when you come up to you and they, oh, my mom named me after you.
oh, that's
And I'm
great.
like, that's fantastic.
Nobody named it DOS or Peter, and I'm quite upset about that. But
I'm
I
sure
want to
there's
touch on
some out there.
something. So you got Sal, you got Brian Rosenberg, you got Charlie Rodriguez, all these guys doing big shows. And but yeah, we're gonna do something in Key West, like I said, September 27th weekend. I think you're on 28th, that
Yes.
Saturday, at the
Yes.
San Carlos Theater in downtown Key West. And I'm sure you're gonna bring it. I'm sure you're gonna bring it.
I try to every time, no matter what. I could be in pain. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, I got hit by a pickup truck while I was on my bicycle, and the next day I went to perform at Fuego. So, and I went with I blinked out my
Yeah.
crutch, and I went on stage with my crutch. But you
Mm.
know, I'll show up. I'll show up.
And
If they
you
show up, I'll show up.
so happy. I'm so happy to see you on stage with Company B and Mia, and we'll see you on the 28th in Key
Yes,
West. And
definitely.
where can they find you? Where they can, like, all the people? Where can they follow you at? What's your socials?
Well, I have NYASIA Santiago on Facebook, and then I have NYASIA fan page on Facebook. I have my Instagram, NYASIA_freestyle. I have my TikTok, NYASIA. I'm on Twitter. Whatever social media is out there, I'm there, except on the not good ones. The for
Okay,
you
good.
only. I'm not on that.
For you only.
Um, yeah, definitely not on that. And if you go on my Facebook and you'll see my tour dates on there. So I'm
For this show, you can go to Eventbrite and get the tickets under Louis C. The Mayor Entertainment. Keys Freestyle 3 '80s and '90s Bash.
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Outstanding, outstanding. Well, we'll see you then. Thank you for doing this. We appreciate you. Again,
Thank you.
I'm glad to see what you're doing, and hopefully, Key West is gonna be like Brazil for you. I want to see them turn out.
I hope so.
All right, good to see you again. My love to
All
the
right,
family.
hon, you too. All right.
September 28th weekend is the 80s and 90s Keys Freestyle Festival going down in Key West, Florida, featuring Company B, NYASIA, Mia, DJ DOS, DJ Alice Terrace, and many more. Check it out at Eventbrite.